Okay, and in this video is more equation solving. We're not moving on from this till you know it's like the back of your hand. Okay. So I'm solving x. It's not to a power. It's a square root. Okay. So how do you undo a square root with a second power? You have to know that. Okay. So now I check for operations outside. I don't have a multiply. There's no number here. And there's no plus or minus after it. Yeah, there's a plus, but that's in. I don't care. Okay. So I go right to my second power. This side cancels. 4x plus 3. I just have 8. I don't need the scratch paper. Okay. So 8 power 2, 64. Minus 3, that's 4x equals 61. Divide by 4, and that's the only answer I can find. 61 divided by 4 is 15.25. Okay, my next problem. X, not a power, it's a square root, okay? Once again, we're undoing that with a second power. So put the little 2 and circle it. Now, before I do that, I have a negative 5. I'm going to need to divide by negative 5. I've also got a plus 12, so I'm going to need to minus 12. So I do these operations. Minus 12, minus 12. That takes me to negative 10. 2 minus 12 is negative 10. Then I divide by the negative 5. That takes me to 2. Now I second power. Cancel, and I get x plus 1 equals 4. Don't need scratch paper on that one either. That's 3. Okay, now the next one. This time x is to a power. It's to a 6 power. So with that power, I know there's 2 answers. Again, with the roots, you really don't know until you work the problem out. Okay, so I get rid of a whole power with a root of that same index. But before I do that, I have a negative 4 in front, so I'm going to need to divide by negative 4. I do not have a plus or minus operation. So divide by negative 4, and that's 100. Then I do my 6th root. Okay, so I take the 6th root of 100. 6 second caret 100. 2.15, but I could also have the negative 2 as a solution. Okay, next problem. X is to a power, but there is a parentheses. The power belongs to the whole parentheses. Now, that tells me we just have one answer, okay? But I need to before I write my steps out, I want to simplify it with Q. So I have q to the 5th power equals 60. And once again, I need my table. X minus 5 equals, I don't need the other side because there's only one answer. So now I list kind of like I'm doing here. After the q has been set, I list my operations. 5th power means I'll take a 5th root. There's no number in front, so no division. And there's no plus or minus. So I find the 5th root of 60. So 5 second caret 60. 2.27 or 2. If your rounding's a little bit off, that's fine. Then I add 5. And that takes me to 7.27. Or no, I don't know why I'm adding 5. That's a 3. Okay? You're adding 3. It's x minus 3. I screwed up. 5.27. All right. 9x to the power of 2/5 equals 36. So x is to a power, it's to the power of 2/5. Don't need the q here. Okay, that's two answers. So I have a power, but it is a fraction. So I'm not really going to do a root. I'm going to take the power of the reciprocal. Now we also have a 9, multiplication by 9, so I divide by 9. There would be no plus or minus. So x to the power of 2/5 equals 4, and then I raise both sides to the power of 5/2. For those fractions, you just use the caret. You don't need the second, okay? 4 caret 5ABC2 gives me 32, but I could also have negative. Okay, now my next problem. X does not have a power, but it does have a square root. Okay, so it's 2 in the index. Now to eliminate a square root, we use second power. Check before your square root. There's nothing there, no division, no multiplication. So I raise both sides to the second power. So this side I get a cancellation. That just leaves me with 18x. Now the other side I need my scratch paper. So I take x minus 8 times x minus 8. Know that when you use your scratch paper, that's going to end up in you moving everything to one side and doing the GCFT. Okay, so 1x times 1x times negative 8. Negative 8 times 1x. Negative 8 times negative 8. Oops, 1, 2, if that makes you feel better. Blank x second plus blank x plus blank. Now I have a lot of goofs that don't find these two, okay? They get it confused. No, you need to find these two, okay? They're not going to cancel because it's not a positive and a negative. It's the same thing, okay? So you need to find these two and continue. So 1x a second, negative 8x, negative 8x, positive 64. These two do not cancel. They're both negative. They never cancel when you square a binomial. That's when you have a positive and a negative. Okay? So you got 1. Add those, you get negative 16 and 64. Then I return to my paper and I write 1x second minus 16x plus 64. Now everything comes to one side then because we got x to different powers. The only way to solve that is for factoring. So 1x second. This is not 2. You take negative 16 minus 18. That's negative 34. Okay, 3 terms. So GCFT. Okay, GCF's 1. Okay, most of the GCFs are 1. Okay, most of it. Then 1 times 64, 64 positive, sum of 34. 1 and 64 does not give me a 34 sum. 2 and 32 does. 34 is negative, so 32 is negative. The sum would mean they're both negative. A is 1, so I just need to make 2. Easy factoring. Okay, so x minus 2 is 0. X minus 32 is 0. You're able to come up with 2 solutions. I want to see both of them.